Welcome back to the show. This is Curtis Horridge. I'd like to introduce a very special guest, Mr. Chris Aldrich from Andrew K. Knox Company from New Jersey. How you doing, Chris?
Good, Curtis. How are you?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm glad you have you on the show and just share your experience for all the people that need to know about public adjusting. We're trying to get premier public adjusters to come out and talk about their experiences and just kind of give more information about what we do. So My first question is, how did you become a public adjuster?
Well, I became a public adjuster. I first found out about the industry in 2005. My parents had a pretty large tree go through the middle of their house during a microburst. And I'd had a friend that was in the industry for about 20 years prior. And I had a construction company and was also a firefighter for, actually, I was fire chief when I found out about it. And my parents ended up getting an offer from State Farm of like $7,000, and it wasn't even close to being enough. And I called my friend who was in the industry, and he came out and ended up getting my parents close to $80,000 for their claim. And I was enamored by what the industry is, and having a David versus Goliath fight. That's something I live for.
Wow. So at that time, did you have an interest to want to become a public adjuster, or you would just kind of just bewildered by the
Curtis,
fact that he didn't increase it that much?
I was still in the construction business, and it hadn't really dawned on me until my friend who we hired to handle my parents' claim decided he was going to retire, and he worked for Les Knox, whose firm I'm president of today. And I saw Les at a business networking luncheon, and we were talking about it. And Les said to me, he said, Brian's retiring. He said, I'm looking for somebody to take his place. And I looked at him and I said, is this a job interview? And I thought his head was going to snap off his neck. And he said, you'd be interested? I said, well, let's talk about it. And, the following week we sat down and we talked about it. And, I started winding down my construction company. And in 2007, I became a public adjuster.
So my thing is this: you were in construction. What kind of construction were you doing? Residential, commercial?
Yeah, we
both,
did.
Or?
So we did residential, commercial. We did big box stores, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, so when you brought a lot of experience in about knowing material estimating, I assume.
Yeah,
you kind of do how to do cost of construction and stuff like that. That's great.
Yeah,
so you already had some background in there. But you never been an independent adjuster, worked on the insurance company side?
No, never had an ounce of experience working for the carriers.
Me either. You know what I'm saying? I also want to say that, Chris, you're one of the past presidents of NAPIA, the National Association of Public Insurance Adjusters, man. Bravo, man. And well done, man.
Thank you. It was a long, arduous task. I really started getting involved in NAPIA in 2012, and went to my first NAPIA meeting in 2013 and got elected onto the ladder in 2017. I was on the board of directors from 2015 to 17, and then I served as president in 2023.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Congratulations for that. Is the NAPIA Association, is their term for president, is it 1 year or 2 years?
So it's a 1 year. So there's 7 ladder positions on the executive board for NAPIA. So it takes you 7 years to get up, but they're 1 year terms.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Pretty good.
Yep.
And so you busy? I met you at TAPIA. So are you a member of TAPIA? Or you just kind of come in?
I'm a member. Yeah, I'm a member of TAPIA. I'm a member of FAPIA, the Florida Association, and I'm also a member of the New Jersey Association, the Professional Public.
I was going to ask, was there a New Jersey Association? Yeah, yep. I figured it'd probably be one up there. You made president of that association yet?
No. Rome wasn't built in a day. I had a lot of irons. Right. Had a lot of irons in the fire with NAPIA, and I'm one of those guys, Curtis, that if I'm involved in something, I'm going to be waist deep involved in it. I'm not going to half-ass it and have different spots in different places.
I agree. So what are some of the major changes that you witnessed in the industry since you've been a public adjuster?
God, Curtis.
I know. It's a broad question, right? People don't know.
2007, and I think this is one of the biggest things that I've noticed in the industry. 2007, I mean, we were still meeting with adjusters on site. Typical claim, you'd meet an adjuster on site, you'd scope the claim, you'd write the building estimate together. And then at the end, when you were done with your meeting, a lot of times you were getting a check from that carrier adjuster sitting there on the spot to walk to your clients.
Hmm.
Over time, that has developed to, adjusters having to go back and getting scope approved, to adjusters going back and having to have checks authorized, to a point now where you're meeting people in the field that have absolutely zero authority,
Right.
zero knowledge, and zero ability to be able to get a claim settled.
That's amazing. That's so true. Well said. I mean, I think I talk about that a lot of inexperienced adjusters showing up for carriers and have no authority. And
Yeah.
I've seen some of the staff adjusters I've talked to, even guys that have been in the business for a long time. They've talked about that they used to have authority to write up to 100,000, 200,000 a loss. Now they're down to $10,000 for their authority. That's just
Yeah,
crazy.
Curtis, I have a very, and that's a great point. I have a very good friend who used to be a large loss general adjuster for one of the big carriers. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to get him in trouble, but
Right.
he had an authority of $500,000, and
Mhm.
his claims manager had an authority of $500,000. So combined, they had an authority of $1 million, and now his authority is $25,000.
Wow. Unbelievable. The changes in the industry. You know what? I say that as a broad question, but that right there hits the point. I mean, that's something people need to know about. You know what I'm saying? So the adjuster comes out, has no authority to pay. He's going to write an estimate, and somebody's going to re-eye him and then manipulate the estimate. And by the time they get back to the property owner, it's like, what is this? It's not what he said on site,
Yeah, exactly.
So, is anything you would like to see happen in the industry or change in the industry?
Curtis, there's a lot I would like to see. One of the reasons why I got involved with TAPIA, the Texas Association has done it right.
Yeah.
They have figured out the statutes and the legislation, and they've got the relationships with the legislators. The guys like, Jim Beneke, Art Jansen, Tim Woodard, to name a few, have really set the stage for what public adjusting should be. And if there's a model anywheres in the United States that should be followed for public adjusting, it should be the Texas model, because man, Texas has just got it right. But to ask about change, what I would like to see changed nationally, I'd love to see the Texas statutes adopted nationally and adopted by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day. They was talking about how some things in Texas trying to set a footprint for other states to follow. And when they was down in Austin, they got a chance to talk to some people that came from out of state, other senators. And I think one from Arkansas or something, that they were saying maybe he was considering maybe looking at having public adjusters help out. He was open to the fact. He kind of got enlightened on how public adjusters work in Texas and what we're able to do for people. And so I don't know if there's going to be any changes, but that's one state we can't get in. And so I think he's kind of looking at maybe exercising that, or he's at least talking about it. I mean, so it's been a long ride to try to get, some of these states to pick up and allow public adjusters to come in and work. And so, we just try to, we a few states we can't get in. I think it's like 3 or 4, right? 3 or 4 we can't get in. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Arkansas be one of them. And so, those doors, Louisiana, we just couldn't get into there, and they let us in after Hurricane Ike, so,
Right.
So it's like, we just got to keep showing good patterns of what a public adjuster can do and how we're helping the consumers and the property owners. People need this, man. I mean, they're up against, they'll have no idea the policies, how they're being, changed without them knowing it. They're renewing it with different changes. And the like I said, the coverage is not worth the paper it's written on anymore. I mean, so many different hard conditions to get a simple claim paid properly without somebody walking you and consulting you through that process. If you're on your own, you have no knowledge, it's just a bad situation. You're going to have a lot of problems.
Oh,
And,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
sad to say
there's
that.
there's pitfalls, there's potholes. I mean, there are so many disasters within insurance policies these days that if a homeowner doesn't read the full 60, 70 page document, and if you don't have experience in reading these policies,
Yes.
you don't know what you're looking at.
Exactly. They read it over and over again, written very ambiguously. The lawyers write them, and they write them in their terms,
Yeah.
in their language.
Yeah.
Basically, so I'm going to ask you what would you say to? I mean, we got contractors, we got restoration companies, we got carriers, we got independents, all this kind of. What would you say to somebody that say you don't need public adjusters? I hear that a lot on some of these the roofer chats, the adjuster chats. You don't need don't hire a public adjuster. Is you going to
So,
gouge and take money
Curtis,
from?
listen, I'm not going to mention any names, and I'm not going to, mention any
But I wish you
carriers,
would.
or I'm not going to mention anything. But we got involved in 2016, and this is one of the greatest trials and tribulations of what we do as an industry. We got involved in an insurance claim on a multiple million square foot roof that had been denied based on a cosmetic damage exclusion that was placed after the policy inception date. So that basically the carrier came out and wrote a cosmetic damage exclusion after the policy had been purchased. And I mean, this is a multi-million dollar insurance claim. And we took that claim from zero and a denial to multiple millions of dollars. And,
Sure you did.
to this day, we still work with that roofer on a very, very regular basis.
That's
I've
good.
got a couple good friends that are in the roofing industry, Paul Reed and Eric Oberant. And we talk about it all the time. Everybody's got a lane to stay in, and I know that sounds cliche-ish, but it's the God's honest truth. Guys that try to get involved in stuff that is out of their purview is when problems occur.
Exactly.
And you know what? The way we work, the way a traditional public adjuster works, there's room for everybody at the table, and everybody can make a decent living. You're not going to get rich on one claim. You're not going to get rich on 10 claims, but if you do it consistent, you stay consistent, you're going to make a great living, and you're going to help a ton of people.
That's it. That's really one of it. That's the great thing about it. That leads to the other question I had. What is the greatest joy about being a public adjuster?
Oh, just being able to, see people get back in their homes, get back on their feet, and walk them through. And, Curtis, I'm going to use this word, educate, help educating the consumers and educating the policyholders to what they're entitled to and getting them what they're entitled to.
I like that. We just had Texas had a recent run-in with some carriers that wanted to bring in an anti-PA clause. Me and Kelly talked about it, and I think a couple of the justices have been on the line that said talked about it. And Texas was able to get that excluded from the policies, and now everybody looking at Texas and say, "How did you do that? How'd you do that?" So, I mean, just good public adjusting. Man.
Why do you think in the start of the show that I said Texas has got it right? Yeah. I mean, these anti-PA endorsements, basically, they're and we're fighting this on a national level. This is something that we took on during Clay Morrison. Clay and I finally kind of got it started. Clay was president. I was first vice of NAPIA. And it wasn't as paramount as it is today. During my presidency, it really cropped itself up. And NAPIA is fighting it. NAPIA and FAPIA have merged to fight this together to try to get this outlawed, because it's against public policy. I mean, it's like saying if you're getting sued, you can't hire an attorney to help you.
Right.
I mean, there's absolutely no sense to it.
Exactly. I mean, it's just to try to help them save money, because we're gonna make them pay.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Speaking of Clay Morrison, I got to get him on the show, because I remember when I first did my first hurricane down in Hurricane Ike in Houston, and I didn't know too much about working hurricanes, and I just looked up some local PAs, and I got Clay's number. He answered the phone. I asked him a lot of questions. He gave me a plethora of stuff to do, and I just took off from there, man. He was so helpful, man. Just, hey, just do this, don't do that, and watch out for this. I was like, wow, he's just really helpful. And I didn't really meet him until we started the TAPIA. I think Chip Merlin and different ones started the TAPIA Association doing Hurricane Ike, and I met him face to face. Hey, how you doing, man? But yeah, just a great guy, man.
Yeah, solid guy. Solid guy and a very good friend.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Well, Chris, I appreciate you. But you have anything you want to say to the people, man? Anything you want to share? Anything
No,
like that?
Curtis,
You said a lot.
listen, I'm really honored that you picked me to get on your show.
Definitely.
Listen, I think you're doing a great thing for the industry. I think this is well served for our industry. And, listen, just keep up Texas, man. Keep up what you guys are doing, because you guys have got your finger on the pulse for the industry.
Man, I appreciate it, Chris. Chris Aldrich from Andrew K. Knox and Company, New Jersey. Man, the public adjusting actually came from New York and New Jersey.
Yeah,
Like that.
started in New York and New Jersey. Yep, back in
Over
the early
60 years,
1900s.
Man, that's awesome. Y'all companies, you're that's company's third generation, right? Third generation, over
Yep.
60 years. Man, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah, we were formed in
Congratulations, man.
1958.
Wow.
Yep.
Man, I have 68 for me, but 69 actually, but still.
Yep.
Man, it's great, man. Great talking to you, Chris. I appreciate you being on the show, man. And
Absolutely.
thank you,
Thanks
man.
for having me, Curtis. I really
Yes,
appreciate you.
We'll get this out to the people, man, so they can get the information and follow up with you if they ever need help in that area, whatever. I know you work national as well. So, definitely, man, we want to make sure you get your opportunity to toot your horn, man, because you're doing some great work. Appreciate all the people you're helping.
Okay. Thanks, Curtis.
All right. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for joining us today. This is Power Your Own Adjuster with Curtis Hoy, your licensed abundant public insurance adjuster. Hope you enjoyed the show. We got a lot of more guests coming up. Stay tuned. Hit that notification button, like, subscribe, and share for more information. Thank you.